You know that feeling, right? Where you're just running all day long, your to-do list never seems to end, and you are constantly busy. But then, at the end of the week, you just feel kind of empty, wiped out, like you're spinning your wheels but not actually getting anywhere. Okay, let's get into this because today we're digging into the huge difference between just being busy and being truly impactful.
So, does this hit close to home? You're putting in all the hours, you're running around like crazy, but it just feels like you're not seeing the results to match? If you've ever felt that frustrating gap between all your effort and your actual progress, well, you are definitely in the right place.
All right, so let's tackle the first big idea here, the illusion of busyness. This is a trap that, let's be honest, so many of us fall into. We think that having a packed schedule must mean we're being effective. But as we're about to see, just being active doesn't automatically mean you're getting anything real done.
And this slide, this just breaks it down perfectly. Look at the difference. Anybody can fill a calendar with meetings. That's just activity. But accomplishment, that's about actually moving the metrics, solving the tough problems, and creating real, tangible value. See, one just looks busy, the other is valuable.
And this kind of gets to the heart of the whole thing. It points out a pretty uncomfortable truth, doesn't it? It is way easier to just stay busy doing anything than to pause and ask that really hard question. Is what I'm doing right now actually adding any real value? Sometimes busyness is just a way to avoid the much harder, more disciplined work of thinking strategically.
So this illusion of being busy, it leads right into our next point, what we're calling the frustration trap. This is where we get into the emotional side of things. That feeling you get when the world seems to reward impact, not just the sheer number of hours you put in.
And here it is, plain and simple. The frustration trap is that feeling of being completely unrewarded and overlooked after you've poured in tons of hours on stuff that, frankly, didn't really move the needle. The hard truth is, the world, your boss, your clients, your company, they reward results, not just the appearance of working hard.
The source material uses this proverb to really drive the point home. Think about it. The busy person is the one who often craves for more recognition for their hours, more credit for their effort. But the impactful person, they're the one who gives without sparing because they're focused on creating and contributing real value, not just on what they're going to get back.
Okay, this brings us to the absolute core of this whole explainer, the mindset pivot. It's all about changing the kinds of questions you ask yourself every day, shifting from how much can I do to what actually matters.
And this table just lays it all out. Look at these questions. The busy person is all about volume and appearance. How much can I get done? Do I look busy enough? But the impactful person, they're asking about value and results. What's the one thing that will really move the needle? Am I actually being useful here? Asking yourself better questions is the very first and most important step.
Now, to really anchor this mindset shift, the source pulls on a few key principles. This first one, it's all about purpose. Notice it doesn't say work busily. It says work at it with all your heart. The whole emphasis is on your intention and the quality of your work, not just frantic activity.
And the second principle here builds right on that. It reinforces what happens when you work with that kind of purpose. See, truly impactful work, it creates its own worth. When you're a real laborer creating genuine value, not just a busybody, that work has an inherent value that deserves to be rewarded.
In this last piece of the mindset puzzle, it's all about finishing. This quote is so powerful because it's not about starting 100 different things so you look busy. No, it's about finishing the work you were given to do. Real impact comes from completion, from seeing the most important things all the way to the end.
All right, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get super practical. Let's break down the 4 concrete steps you can take to actually make this shift from busy to impactful.
So here's the framework. It's simple. First, choose your battles. Second, measure your contribution. Third, work for a higher purpose. And fourth, and this one's key, learn to distinguish motion from movement. Let's unpack each of these.
So for step 1, we've got this classic line from Warren Buffett. You got to say no to almost everything. But, and this is a really important addition from the source, there's a nuance here. If you're early in your career, you might actually need to say yes a lot, but intentionally, right? To build skills and get experience. But once you have that foundation, that's when you have to start fiercely protecting your focus for what truly matters.
Okay, step 2 is all about how you measure success. And here's a direct challenge for you. Can you state your impact over the last 30 days in just one sentence? The whole idea is to start tracking results, not the hours you worked.
Think about yourself as a faithful steward, someone whose job is to actively grow the value of whatever you've been given to manage.
Now, step 3, this is the real game changer when it comes to your motivation. It's about shifting that little voice in your head from asking, will this get me noticed, to asking, is this work excellent? Is it purposeful? And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing recognition and just focus on doing excellent work, that's when the recognition usually finds you.
And finally, we have step 4, understanding the difference between motion and movement. It is so easy to be in motion, going to every meeting, taking on every little project. But movement, that's about making strategic choices that actually push the mission forward. One just looks productive, the other actually is effective.
Now, here's a really interesting byproduct of all this that you might not expect. Freedom. Yeah, freedom. When you get ruthless about focusing only on high-impact work, you naturally start cutting out all the low-value stuff that just eats up your time. You end up accomplishing more in less time, which, believe it or not, can actually lead to a much more balanced life.
And this brings us to our last and honestly, probably the most important point of all. We got to talk about the real reward from making this shift. And it's so much bigger than just getting a promotion. It's about finding a much deeper sense of meaning in what you do.
This just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? When you're 80, looking back, you're not going to remember all the pointless meetings or the boxes you checked. What you'll remember, what will make up your legacy, are the tough problems you actually solved, the people you genuinely helped, and the things of value that you built.
So here it is. Here's your call to action. I want you to take a really hard look at your to-do list for this week. Be honest with yourself. What on that list is just busyness, and what is real impact? The challenge is to find just one thing you can stop doing to make room for what truly matters.
And let's end on this powerful thought. Your life really does become a reflection of what you believe your purpose is. If you believe you're just here to stay busy and pass the time, well, that's exactly the kind of life you'll create. But if you believe, deep down, that you are here to make a real difference, well, that changes absolutely everything.